What's up, big dog?
What's up, big game?
Boy, let me tell you something, man. I remember when you was playing and we was up at Marquette, because we all come out of that same era. And boy, when y'all was playing, I was like, hey, listen, I used to bet the guys on the team. I was like, Scotty gonna get 30 on 10 threes today. I mean, literally, that was, we used to put numbers on you, boy. That's how crazy it was. We was betting numbers on you. I was like, Scotty Thurman. I said, this dude don't miss. I mean, it was butter. Like, I don't know if folks give you enough credit, man, I mean, you was hitting jump shots back in the day, and this is crazy as this may sound, man, when that wasn't, particularly for African Americans, known to be jump shot shooters. Because like when I went to college, even my coaches used to say, they were used to recruit, the white kids to shoot the jump shots. And, we were kind of recruited to be like that athlete, get to the bucket. You could shoot the shot, but I mean, man, you was a sniper. Sniper. This is how crazy it is, man. I this morning I got up and I watched the Duke game, man.
Oh man.
I was like, this is insane.
You went way back.
Yeah, I went way back. I went championship back.
That's what's up.
Hoop Dreams, the podcast, an Unlearning Network production.
Agee, man. Boy, look what we got on the show today. I'm just going to start this one out just like this. The shot, not heard around. The shot heard round. That's how they say it down there. Heard round Arkansas.
Yeah.
This brother on the show today, man, is a Louisiana native. An Arkansas Razorback legend. Matter of fact, they still owe him some money. We need to go back and do the NIL deals because Scotty's owes some money.
Yeah.
Play pro ball overseas for over 10 years. Coached at the legendary Arkansas School and is now the head coach at Parkview High School. We have on our show on the Hoop Dreams podcast today, none other than Mr. Scotty Jump Shot knocking it down in your face Thurman. I'm Will Gates, and that's my dog.
Agee, Scotty, man, thanks for coming on the show, man. We appreciate you, man. The Shot is what I call you.
Thanks for having me, man. Excited to do it. It's been a long time since I've seen you, Art. I think it was like in Jonesboro, Arkansas or something.
Yeah.
When you guys were getting ready to start previewing the Hoop Dreams, and never got an opportunity to meet Mr. Gates, but I've known a lot about him from his days at Marquette, man. And so I'm excited to get a chance to join you guys.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're here, man. And before we get into the show, Agee and I, we just got to ask you this, Scotty, man, because, we're about the same age. We all traveling during that same time.
Right.
But when was the first time you saw Hoop Dreams, and what were your thoughts?
Man, the first time I saw it was like immediately when it came out, because I remember Agee was going around kind of promoting it. And so I got a chance to kind of really understand some guys who were hungry like me from different city, but it was just engaging to me to see, you guys' journey. And so I watched it and I felt it, because it was like something I lived through too, with just like my brother being an older basketball player and me kind of trying to emulate him. And, we all had all these wistful things we want to do with the game when we're young. And then you're faced with adversity and you got to, go a different route or go to a different school, or you may just have to take a detour somewhat. And so, for me, man, it was something I watched as soon as it hit. It was a big deal for me. I still got my copy at the house on the DVD. I still got it, and so I got a chance to watch it, man. And it's something like when I started following y'all and seeing you guys had the Hoop Dreams podcast, I started following that instantly. And so I've seen some of the shows you guys have been doing too, man, just trying to support it. And I appreciate the initiative and the drive you guys got to, to put that content out there.
And we definitely appreciate that, man. When I reached out to you, I told you, man, I got a million questions for you because, man, I mean, the reality is, Scotty, you're a legend, man. And this is just on my end. I don't know how you feel about this, but I think that the world never got to see the best of Scotty Thurman. So I want to come back around to that. But Agee and I on the Hoop Dreams podcast, man, we do this show a little bit different. We call it the Hoop Dreams podcast, but really, every guest that comes on, it's really the Scotty Thurman podcast because the show is about you, man. So what we want to know is right now, man, give us your origin story. Tell us how you grew up in Ruston, Louisiana, and describe your neighborhood growing up, man. What was it like for you growing up in the 70s and the 80s?
Well, man, I grew up in Ruston, Louisiana, the youngest of four. My father played basketball at Grambling State, Louisiana. He was actually, I found this out at his funeral. He was supposed to be one of the first black men to integrate the University of Houston. So he chose not to do that because he met my mom. And so, he wound up having to, it would have been himself and Elvin Hayes. And so Elvin Hayes, obviously, that story is already been written. But my father's kind of, I would say, probably started the origin of a Thurman being a great player that nobody maybe have gotten an opportunity to hear of, And so, I grew up, man, emulating a lot of guys, following my older brother around. I had two older brothers and an older sister. We were an athletic household, humble beginnings. My mom worked 2 jobs. She was a social worker as well as having jobs at places like Kmart, for those of you who know something about that. My dad he worked in the oil company for Shell Oil in the Gulf of Mexico. So he worked 7 days on, 7 days off. And so there were times where he got the opportunity to spend time with me. And there was times when obviously he didn't, because he was away providing. So for me, I had kind of a mixed bag of a childhood. I've seen the good and the bad. I've ran with the good characters. I've also got my experience with some of the bad characters. So, but growing up in my neighborhood, I lived in a pretty, I would just call it a modern neighborhood. Nothing rich. I wouldn't call it low class. I'd probably call it right there in the middle or right there below middle. And, had a great childhood coming up, great neighbors. That was back in the day where you could go next door and knock on the door and borrow ketchup and whatever other bar soap or what have you, whatever you needed. Yeah. And so, grew up in humble beginnings, man, and basketball for me was just a way to stay out of trouble, a way to, not venture off to the streets, which was so many young men were going when you get up to the 80s, when you think about crack coming on the scene. And so, for us, we were doing everything we could to stay away from environments that we knew, weren't up to our standards in terms of what we wanted to be in life. And so for me, I just had a lot of friends, man, that all played sports, whether baseball, basketball, football. We ran track, because back then we did everything outdoors, which is a lot different than it is now. So, we used to drink the water out the water hydrant and all those things.
Yeah. Hey, Scotty, let me ask you, speaking on that too, where you said you played everything. Like, that's what we did. We played everything. But tell our listeners how far and, like, what's the geographical area of Ruston, Louisiana is, what's those other towns that's around from, like, how far y'all from New Orleans? And did you play outside it? Was there different playgrounds and stuff that you played on?
Oh, no question. Like, we had playgrounds in every hood. We had the West Side Park, we had the East End Park, then we had our high school gyms or middle school outside courts back with the chain link nets, where you shoot them as going through the chain because they didn't want anybody to take them and run with them. Yeah,
you hear them ching ching.
So yeah, ching ching. So we played in Ruston is about 4 hours away from New Orleans. Then you got Shreveport, that's about 45 minutes away. Monroe, Louisiana is about 30 minutes away. And, there's athletes, man, up in North Louisiana that people, wouldn't even think about. That's why you can see people like ULM, which used to be Northeast Louisiana, Louisiana Tech, why people have good programs right there because they don't really have to go far for a lot of talent. But a lot of the talent locally in a town like mine, they don't really get out of.
Right. I always say this about guys growing up in the South, that they're groomed to play all 3 sports, football and run track. Most of them, football, baseball, basketball, and they run track. Like, that just seemed like that's the South, what they produce, and it's known as a football town. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing. Yeah, your whole state. Louisiana's always been known as a football state, but it's always got athletes in a lot of different sports because nobody made us pick and choose. Back then you didn't have coaches telling you in the sixth or seventh grade you got to specialize in basketball. If you wanted to run track, your parents said you can go run track. If you wanted to play baseball, you played baseball. I played football and probably would have been a pretty good quarterback until I realized I didn't want to get hit like that. And so
Hey, you know
I was
what?
the only reason I gave it up.
Let me ask you this, and this too, you will. Every sport that you talking about, wasn't they free to play?
Yeah.
Will, did you have to
They're
pay
free
to
to
play in the Demons in the Sewer Park Baseball League? No. Did you have to? I mean, these leagues now cost money for shorties.
Yeah. The things I think that we probably had to buy, or maybe we didn't know we had to buy because our parents were furnishing it, or whoever was helping us out. Probably the uniforms, the caps, but as far as like a registration fee and X amount of dollars for this or that, I don't think that was really something we experienced.
But we do know this: somebody was paying for it. It wasn't
somebody was paying. Somebody.
That's sure enough the truth. Let me ask you this, Scotty. So let's take it back to the playground, man. I normally ask this question this way. What NBA players you looked up to, but I want to twist it up a little bit. When you was out there on that playground getting your game together, we as athletes, we've all done this. When you went 3, 2, 1, you let it fly. Who name was you calling out?
Oh man, now that's crazy because I've been some of everybody. I've been some of everybody. Even way back, I'm gonna go way back in college. Dallas Comagese. I thought I had a turnaround jumper like Dallas Comagese. Tyrone Corbin sometimes because he was, he didn't score like that in the league, but in college, he put that thing in the hole a little bit. Billy Owens. Steve Smith.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think other guys. Todd Day, obviously, Arkansas, who was there before me, as I started to get older. But man, I really love Derek Coleman and Sherman Douglas, those Syracuse teams, because I was a Syracuse fan growing up, as a youngster. But man, I've been Chris Jackson, I've been Keith Smart. I've been Lenny Byers. You know how it is. You go pick one on that particular day. Hey, Thurl Bailey. So those are just a lot of guys. I grew up, man, just watching, and I've always just enjoyed watching the college game. And so, you go back to the Big East, Jerome Lane. Chris Mullen, Willie Green, and those guys. So I've had a chance to emulate a lot of different people. Wayman Tisdale at OU.
Oh,
how nice he was. So
Mr. Double.
So it was every time you look, turn around, jump, and never stop, man. So there was a lot of guys I emulated growing up.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Now in your family, man, I know you talked about your dad having that talent that we didn't get an opportunity to see. Was your brothers, your sisters in athletics? Like, what does this gene extend throughout the entire family?
Well, my sister didn't play sports. She cheered and ran track. And then, once she became a 10th, 11th grader, she was more girly girl into pageants and those types of things. Homecoming court, homecoming queen, those types of things. My older brother, he was a swimmer and a tennis guy, which, back then, no blacks were swimming and playing tennis. So he didn't really go very far with that. And then my brother, who's 3 years older than I am, he was probably the alpha male athlete in the family as far as, especially basketball. I mean, he was a great baseball player, but basketball, he was one of them guys that, would have been getting a check if he could have just stayed, on the right path. But unfortunately, he made some decisions and, peer pressure being what it is, he didn't get an opportunity to reach his dream. But he was a big-time player, man, about 6'8", lefty, which he's really a righty, but he shot basketball lefty. He does everything with his right, but shoot basketball left. So he was nice, though. I mean, he was super nice. And that's kind of the person who I followed around. You know how it is. You get roughed up a little bit by him. You get roughed up by his friends. And then all of a sudden, when you come out and you playing against guys your age, you're like, oh, no, man, I've been getting beat up too much. There's no way I'm finna let you guys do it. Y'all got to pay the price for all the beatings I've been taking.
Hey, let me ask you something. Right there. That's just that question right there. How can we as a basketball society now bring that type of stuff back? Like how to because that's what's missing, don't you think?
Well, I think it could be done. I think it'll definitely be a process for it to happen. But I think one of the biggest things to me anyway is how, you remember back when we played AU basketball, there was a certain amount of teams that would qualify for nationals. So you had to be in the top 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, though, if you think about it, team lose a game in gym number 1, they go to gym number 2 and they play another game just like they didn't lose that game. There's no penalization, there's nothing. It's just, we lost, but we got another one here too. And I feel like the requirements on competition should change because now everybody expects to win, even if they lose. You got a team that's losing that's expected to get a trophy. You got a team that's losing expected to get notarized. Like you got players that are being ranked. Just think about it. Back when we were seeing ranked players, you read Hoops and Scoops, you read Streets of Smith, you're gonna read all this and figure out who's who.
Basketball Bible.
Well, now, right, but now you got everybody's ranked players.
Yeah.
And so you got guys that are living in, I'm gonna say Texas. They're rating all the kids in Texas and saying these are the best players in the country, but they haven't gone to Illinois. They haven't gone to Indiana. They haven't gone. I use myself as an example. I'll never forget this. Back when I was coming out of high school, we used to play an event, and Bob Givens hosted the event. It was at Davidson College. I don't remember the exact name, but it was at Davidson College. It was every March. It was like the kickoff to AAU. And, you see Boo Williams and all these guys. I'll never forget, we took our team up there, and, I'd never gone to North Carolina to play. I'd never been out of the state to play like that, So we get there, and we go in this gym, and it's like, oh, that's Allen Iverson. Oh, that's Joe Smith. I'm like, really? I'm looking in the book, like, man, that is him. Like, okay. But they not knowing. I'm plotting though. I'm like, man, if this supposed to be the dude, like, I want to see, he got to show me. So I wound up playing well enough to where Bob Givens was getting ready, I said. It didn't happen. Was getting ready to rank me in the top 50. And I'm unseen, haven't even been seen.
Damn.
Top 50. So I'm top 50. That lasts all the way up until the summer. And then when fall starts, Bob Givens is not getting on a plane and flying to Ruston, Louisiana to watch Scotty Thurman play in high school. Not when he can go to L.A., not when he can go to New York and see 12 Scotty Thurmans, possibly because of the population difference. And so, but I'm dropping down the polls and still hadn't really been evaluated anymore.
Interesting.
And I think there's a lot of that going on where there's certain people that are doing certain favors, rate this kid here, rate this kid there. And I'm a believer, okay, that kid rated number 1. Well, on this particular day, if number 25 dominates 1 on that day, because we all know it can happen, does that make 25 1? Does he just jump past everybody else and go 1? And I've seen instances where that's happened. I remember in 2019 or 17, I saw Zion Williamson for the first time. And at the time I'm looking, they was like, he's rated number 84 in the country. And I'm looking at his class, I'm looking at his size, and I'm thinking, where are 83 other dudes at that's better than this kid at this age?
Are 5 of them just in this gym right here now alone? Can I see?
No. I would love to visit them. I'd love to see them. And so I think a lot of it is you got personal opinions on some of this stuff, and I get it. You got guys trying to, make a living based off basketball and their expertise, and some of them are accurate, but you and I both know.
Yeah.
It's no exact science, man. There's guys that can hoop everywhere, and some of them don't have a star on them. They just can go out there and get it done.
Yep.
It's interesting that you say that, man, because I've seen that a lot too. You're right. There is a recruiting service in every state. Every state got their own top, 100 players, and
right.
And then, of course, let alone from the gym shoe companies. You got Nike
Right.
got their deal, Under Armour got their deal, Adidas got their deal.
Mhm.
So you're right, man. But with that being said, then are we seeing an increase of athletic talent on the high major levels, or are we seeing a decrease of talent?
I think it's a increase possibly just because there's so many more kids playing basketball now. I think there are a lot more levels because you think about, back when we were coming out of high school, I think the prep school that you would hear about would be Oak Hill. And I think there was one called MCI, like Maine Central or something like that. But you didn't have prep schools throughout. So that's a whole different population of kid now. And now the prep schools have post-grad, regional, national. So now that's three teams at one school. And so when you start thinking about that, and then now you got more D2 programs I'm sure than what we had. Nobody even talked about D2 when we was coming out. Now you got a D2 school D2 schools. You got more NAIA schools. So I feel like the population of talent has increased, but I also feel like the process of elimination is not what it needs to be because you still got some guys just playing, especially with the transfer portal now, a lot of guys being recycled. So you got a lot of hoopers that's out here that's good enough to be scholarship guys, but because they get caught up in transferring when they probably should have stayed where they were or whatever the case may be, lose out on the deal. So the numbers have gone up, but then I think there's still some being left by the wayside just due to the fact of how it's set up now with this transfer portal.
Yeah. I know some dudes names just sitting in there, like getting overlooked like a mother. Like ain't nobody paying attention to you. Like
think about high school kids. Like I got 3 high school kids right now that are good enough to go play D2, low D1.
But they don't want to
get
go.
Anybody on the phone to get. Well, that's part of it too. Prideful. As far as not thinking I'm better than that.
Yeah,
I'm better than that. But not realizing, hey, go D2 and go kill if you like that, and then see what happens. Or the D2 coaches are like, man, I can't really spend a lot of time on a high school kid right now. I got to go get this 23, 24-year-old dude that's already shown he can do classwork, already shown he can practice, already look like a man, I ain't got to make him. I just got to get him here. So I think a lot of kids are getting weeded out from that as well.
Coach, I recommend a Northwest Missouri State. My boy that was in Hoop Dreams, the one that said on the bus, we gonna take state. He actually he actually went to my junior college in a Minnow area, and then he wound up going to Northwest Missouri State, winning the Division II championship. Got ring and everything. And they won it like about 4 times. So they one of the top teams in D2. Facility real nice.
Okay. Man, hey, that's what a lot of these kids don't understand, man. You got D2 facilities that some of them are a lot better than some lower level D1s. A lot better.
Don't they look like suburban private colleges? Like that's how they look.
And they're expensive. So my thing is, if they're giving you an opportunity to come attend their school, that must mean they see something in you. They're giving you this money. So you got to go embrace that and make the most of it.
Hey, Will, I wanted to ask you this perfect example of how we talking about that. How did your sons view Houston Baptist University and they talent coming from your loins?
Let me tell you something, man. I told them free money is great money. That's the reality. And at the end of the day, it was always about, listen, man, I need you to be able to go out here and get your mind right, get your life right, get this opportunity because mom and dad can't take care of you the rest of your life. So we've always kept that perspective in them. But I hear what you're saying, Scotty, because the reality is that, even what we're talking about, hoop dreams, it's hard to separate the two when you're young. Right. Because all you hear is the promise. All you hear about is the future. And then, and this leads into my question. Now, just relating to everything we're talking about, you hear, are we putting too much hope in kids, especially when we tell them, hey man, if you just work hard, the rest is going to work itself out. In a lot of ways, sometimes I feel like, man, we're setting kids up sometimes when we say that, because you can work extremely hard and it still not work out. What's your take on that?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think we can't just give him a blank canvas. It's kind of like that old cliche. Well, he's 18 years old now. It's time for him to get out and figure it out. Well, not if he's not prepared. If he's not prepared, he gonna be back when he's 19. He can be back when he's 20 at some point. So if you're gonna send him out, you got to at least send him out with some preparation. And so I think it's the same thing. Like some of my kids, I know they don't like it when I say everybody's not going to play Division I. Everybody's not going to play college ball. That's not popular. Nobody wants to hear that. Most coaches don't want to say that because it's like, oh, man, you killing the kid's dreams. No. If he's good enough and the opportunity meets the work, then, hey, it may happen. Mm-hmm. But there are no guarantees that because he works, it's going to happen. I think that's the part that's being left out. There are no guarantees in anything. I mean, you can work your butt off in business and the business still go bankrupt. You can work your butt off in, starting a little car wash detail and it go belly up. I mean, you can open up a restaurant. Anything can not go as planned.
Yep.
And I think that's the biggest thing is when I use myself as an example, and I try to share this with my parents and my kids. So I got a daughter, right? I got a daughter and a son. My son's 28, my daughter's 18. My daughter's is an athlete. Like she ran track, played basketball. Track was her first sport. Basketball was second. Well, her last middle school game, her biggest deal because she can jump. And so I was like, hey, sweetheart, I want you to get me 20 rebounds. Just get Dad 20 rebounds. I don't care if you want to score a basket. Just get Dad 20 rebounds. Yes, sir. She goes out. She has 22 points, 24 rebounds. And by the time we get in my truck and get home, she says, hey, Dad, I don't want to tell you this right now, but I just think you need to know I don't really want to play basketball anymore.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now, as a dad, that punched me in my gut. I'm like, oh, like, really? You want to tell me this right now? Like, I'm on a high. Like, let me ride high. And I think what happens is parents want that. They want that high to ride that out. And when it's not that, it's you didn't do this, you didn't do that. But I said all that to say this. After I got to take a couple of days, think about it. Make sure this is what you want to do because when you give it up, most people never return to something that they give up. I said, so think about it. Well, she thought about it. She came back. She said, Dad, I don't want to play. Okay, sweetie. She comes back a few days later. I don't want to run track anymore either. Okay, so what are we going to do? Anything? I want to play volleyball. Volleyball? Nobody in my family's played volleyball. We don't know anything about volleyball. Fast forward, 4 years into volleyball, she is at North Carolina as an early enrollee right now on a full ride volleyball scholarship.
Much love.
What?
Now, all I did was keep her in the arena, training, working, getting to work, but never, you got to do this, you got to do that, and this is going to happen for you because, number one, nobody in my family's ever played volleyball, so we really can't speak on it. And number two, I just want her to be happy doing what it is she's doing. That's her deal. It's not my deal. I just want to encourage her and keep her in the right position to do it. And I think what happens is some of our parents, we live through our kids. Yeah. There's a difference between living with them and versus living for them.
Yeah, I think
let me throw this one at you too, man.
She willed that.
No doubt. But let me throw this at you because this is a follow-up to that, to what you're saying. Being a coach, being a former athlete, do you think there is a certain time you tell athletes that this might not be for you?
Right. I think it is. I think it's a shaky ground, especially if it's still games to be played in competition because certain kids, now they take you literal and they think you may be hating on their dream for real, especially if you don't have the support of the home. I think it varies by kid. I think it probably also varies by team and varies by the relationship between the player and the coach. But I think there are some real conversations that need to be had where you can tell a kid, hey, this is what you have to do to put yourself in a position for the opportunity. That's the way I try to explain it to my kids. You got to do these things to put you in position. There is no guarantee still. But if you put yourself in position, then at least I can even fight for you. I can pick up the phone and say, hey, man, the kid's done everything I asked him to do. He's going to class. He's knocking out his work. He's working his butt off in practice. But if I don't feel comfortable saying those things, then it's up to me to try to convey that message to you in a way to where you can receive it as the player and be able to go out there and act upon it.
Yeah, we in a world now, man. We some old punk ass parents and people in society. We just can't tell a kid, hey man, you garbage, dog. You know, when I was coming up and I was trying to be good, I had people out on this court like, he ain't shit. He can't do it. You ain't gonna be shit. I mean, why I can't, how they gave it to me, I'm like Isaiah Thomas. Like, why would we get beat up? We can't do it. We can't beat you back up. So why can't I let you, hey parent, your kid is not right now. Go work somewhere else. He's not gonna be able to make my team. That's it. Truth hurts.
Yeah, the truth hurts. That's for sure. You know, I agree now. I mean, I think a lot of it is we all want our kids to have so much more than we did. And I think as parents, we put that pressure on ourselves, not only to give them things, but to deliver information and be a lot less forward when giving it. I'm the opposite. You know, I give my daughter's 18. I give it to her the same way I give it to my boy that's 28. Now, it may be some different verbiage because it's male, female, but I'm still going to give it to you real because I want you to hear it. I know if I'm, hey, little Johnny, that might not be received, especially if at home that ain't what's happening. Yep. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm trying to get straight to the point. I'm going to reach you where you at. If I got to say it all nicely, I'm going to say it nicely if you're getting it.
Right.
Now, if you're not getting it, I'm going to change it. But if I know you a dude that I come at you nicely like that, you're going to take my kindness for weakness, I got to approach that situation different. Now it's going to be some, a few more verbs and descriptives and some things in there where I'm trying to make sure you understand this is the last time we're going to have this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But don't you think that also goes back to, speaking, you talking about your kids, but that also goes back to, at least I would assume these were conversations that you had with them very early on.
Right.
What I've noticed, because I've coached AAU many, many years, and what I've noticed with the parents is the kids' mentality sits really high. And they're like, I've seen parents carrying their kids' backpacks in. I've seen, they're like, Mom, my bag over there. Can you grab my bag? Like I'm saying, they've been catered to so much. So stuff, and I always put it this way, stuff that should have been stopped at 4, 5, and 6, it's hard to stop it at 14, 15,
that's true.
and 16.
Yeah, that's true.
So how can you, and this is my question, how can you have, as a coach, have that hard conversation with your player when that parent is supporting some of that,
right?
I hate to use the word negative, but some of that energy that isn't good for your student athlete.
Right.
How do you handle those situations?
Well, man, it's definitely a tough road, no question. It's like you said, if a parent is supporting negativity or bad behavior or things that are not about the whole or not positive, that's tough. But what I try to do is sit down with parents and have that conversation with them, with their kid, because I like to see how they interact with their parents. I know if the kid's interacting with his parent in a negative light or he's cursing and fussing, ain't no sense in me thinking I'm going to be able to change that.
Right.
So for me, at that point, I have to make a decision how far I'm willing to go with that particular kid. And there's some cases it just won't work, and there's some cases where a mom will see, or mom and dad will see, or however the household is set up, they'll be like, okay, I see what you're saying, Coach, but there have been some instances where, hey, he got to go, because what I'm not going to try to do is save one and lose many. I'll do everything I can to save one, but I got to know that one going to work with me to try to be saved. If he ain't trying to be saved, then I got to stick with these guys that's really trying to do it.
But we got to ask you this. What's Coach Scotty Thurman's line? Like, what is we ain't never crossing this? What's your line?
What's my line in terms of behavior?
Yeah, in terms of behavior, like, you cross this line, that's it.
Well, they all know I don't tolerate disrespect. Like that's non-negotiable. Talking to me like I'm a kid or trying to treat me like that or raising your voice to me like I'm your age and we're friends. That's the quickest way to get you out of here. Yeah, I don't really have, I'm from the old school with that, the days where, kids don't talk back,
Yep.
I'm not really trying to hear no mumbling,
No.
none of that. I don't do that. Now, if you may have something to say, but I need you to be saying it on your way, walking away from me, and then I'm gonna live with it. But
Right.
if I can hear you and you talking, you better be far enough away where I can't understand you, because I don't really deal with that. But my main line is I always tell them, I'm looking to get rid of somebody. I tell them that every day. I'm looking to get rid of somebody. And what I mean by that is if you're doing it the right way, meaning you're trying to take care of your business school, you're not being disrespectful to teachers and administrators, other students, and you coming down here, you may not even be a good basketball player, but you may be a good leader. I might keep you around.
Yeah.
But you can be the best basketball player and be a butthole and up there in the building causing problem with teachers and they calling me. You got to go.
Yeah. Being a class clown like Will was in Hoop Dreams. Not doing his work. You know what I'm saying? Pingator coming in, have to give his ass a Saturday detention.
Yeah, we'll leave that where that's at. But I want to ask you this, Scotty, man, to keep this moving. Every guy, man, has that moment, has that game where you're like, you know what? I'm next level. What was that for you?
Man, it's crazy. So I'm going to say my freshman year, we played Memphis State. That's back when they were called Memphis State with Penny Hardaway and David Vaughn and that group. And they came in the Barn Hill my freshman year, and I had been having good red and white scrimmages and had a great midnight magic, so I felt like I was set up to have a real good game. And I came out, man, and my nerves got the best of me, and I didn't play well. And we won the game, though. We got down 20. We came back and won the game. And this was one of those days where we had a back-to-back. We were playing Tennessee Martin the next day. So we came back, we played Tennessee Martin. I had about 14, felt a little better, but still didn't feel like I had my best game. But hey, we won, so I was good. Well, we traveled to Arizona to go play Arizona that weekend. That's when they had Chris Mills. Damon Stoudemire was a sophomore. Khalid Reeves was a sophomore. They had Big Ed Stokes. And they had a couple of O's was a sophomore, I think. Big Joe Blair was a freshman with me. So they had a nice crew. Yeah. And they had won, like, at the time, I think, like 40-something games in a row in there. And so we go in there. Nobody thought we had a chance to beat them. They were so much bigger than us. But our two biggest guys were 6'8" and 6'7" with Dwight Stewart and Corliss Williamson. And Corliss wasn't playing.
Damn.
And so I went in there, man, and I had 28. I think I was like 7 for 11 from the three. And I was battling Chris Mills, who he was a guy that I probably should have mentioned earlier that I kind of mimicked some things about in my game. And I got the best of him, and I knew, how highly he was rated coming out of high school, how highly he was rated in college. And I was like, man, you know what? Man, I can play with these dudes. And so from that point on, I think we went to Missouri after that. I hit Missouri for 34. Damn. And after that, the rest was history, man. I just had that confidence and thinking.
Kicked in.
I had the confidence. But the beauty of it, man, I tell people this all the time, and I never really looked at it like this when I was coming out of high school. But my dad, who I told you worked 7 days on, 7 days off, he's deceased now. So I take a lot of lessons that I learned from him. And so one of the things he told me, my dad was always on me, you got to do this better, you got to do that better. But it wasn't to the point to where I didn't want to hear his voice. Because, like I said, he was 7 days gone, 7 days off. So I was anxious to hear his voice. And so I never forget, man, before I left to go to Arkansas, he told me, he said, man, you're going to start up there. You're going to be a starter. Now, this is from a guy who is normally saying, you got to rebound better. You got to be a better defender. It's never too positive. It's going to be a little positive, but not going to be a lot. And, man, he was like, man, you're going to be a starter up there. So when I went up there, I had the confidence that I could play. I just hadn't done it yet.
Right.
And then when I got the opportunity to do it, my confidence just shot through the roof. And I just remember in his head, he said that this was going to happen.
Amazing.
Man, we want to jump into, man, your college life, man. You know, I often wonder because, again, man, I remember you playing in college. You was a killer. How did you get to Arkansas? Did you visit any other schools? I mean...
Yeah, I did. My recruiting was kind of crazy, though, you know, because like I told you, I went from being an unknown to top 50 to being... Probably, I think I came out of high school like 127, but the difference was that I had already played against some of the better players and that played well, so the coaches who were recruiting me were already kind of on me. So, you know, I had a lot of schools on me, but my top 5 was Arkansas, Oklahoma, Pittsburgh, Stanford, and Texas. And so I took a visit to Arkansas, I took a visit to OU, and I took a visit to Pitt. And so I wound up choosing Arkansas for a couple of reasons. One, it was close to home, or close enough to home, I felt that my parents could come and see me play, because that was important for me. And then back then, having a black coach, you know, that was something that I really wanted to experience. I didn't get that opportunity in high school. And so Coach Ruston kind of reminded me of my dad a little bit. So that kind of made it a little bit easier too.
So the Converse bag with the cabbage in it in the hotel room, that didn't have nothing to do with it.
Man, I wish I was on that level.
The Converse,
I wish I was.
The Converse bag with the cabbage inside, that wasn't in your hotel room on your visit, huh?
Hey, I was the dude that came to Arkansas. I never forget this, man. They had a little event they used to have downtown called the Hoop Fest. It was like this big 3-on-3 tournament, and it was a big deal. And so Corliss and I had came from Fayetteville that summer because we were up there. He was in summer school, and I was just working a summer job. So we drove down to, you know, watch the tournament and hang out. And so we came down. I'll never forget, everywhere we walked around, you know, everybody knew him because he was the guy.
Yeah.
And so all I was hearing was, hey, can he play? Hey, can he play? Hey, can he hoop? Hey, is he any good? Like I'm not standing there. You know what I mean? I'm like, what the hell? Like, you ain't gonna ask me if I can hoop? Like, ask me, I'll tell you. You know? So that's all I'm hearing was, hey, can he hoop? Can he hoop? So I was that guy. It wasn't no bag for me. Big fella probably had the bag. I was just, I was the guy with the guy that had the bag.
Hey, Agee, we heard that before. Hey, man, I wasn't there. I was just with the guy that was with the guy.
Hey, and let me say this too. Let me when we talk about college careers and actual schools, what we talking about, there's going to college, and then there is superstar national college, meaning the you know, just all the perks that are better from a mid-major, from a regular college to superstar. Like we'll understand what I'm talking about. You do too. How was it as a freshman walking onto that campus the first day, and you know, you just absorbing like, damn, I'm in college. Like,
well, man, it was kind of funny. It was like it was a pledging period, you know, because without the pledging, you know what I mean? Like, because we had already been up there. Because we had already been up there that summer, and so we knew the lay of the land. You know, where the class buildings were, you know, how to navigate through the city or whatnot. But we didn't know. Like, I never forget Corliss and I, our first day. We leaving to go to campus, you know, we got our backpacks on, we headed to school, you know, we going to class. Freshmen, we excited to be on campus. And, you know, you see the girls, you see all the people, the town fluttering, football game, first week of school. You know, big deal. And so we walk out of the dorm, and there was like this big crowd of football players and some of our basketball teammates and a few other people. And they were all like, man, where y'all going? We going to class. They were like, class on the first day of school? Nobody goes to class the first day of school. Nobody goes to class the first week of school.
Damn!
I was like, what? Hey, so we went to class. We were like, man, we the laughing stock. I was like, yeah, but my mom gonna want this syllabi, baby. My dad gonna want to know that I went, so I'm gonna go ahead and make it. I ain't gonna worry about that. But it was good, man. It was just good to be in that type of atmosphere. You know, obviously with it being a predominantly white institution, that was different because I grew up at a school that was 60-40, but I could go up the street to Grambling State where it was all African-American. And so it was a little bit different for me because my college life, going and seeing SWAC football and SWAC basketball, that was what I thought my college experience was going to be like. And so when I wound up going to Arkansas, obviously, you know it's not going to be that way, but you don't know what it looks like until you get there.
Yeah.
And so when I got there, that's when I was like, man, this is crazy. I mean, I've never really seen this many people that don't look like me, you know, and be singled out as everybody knew who the student athlete was, you know, whatever sport you play, because there wasn't a lot of us.
Hey, the SEC got how many institutions like that? Like, like damn near all the schools in the SEC like that.
That's the way it is.
70 what? Probably 80 what? 80-20?
Yeah, easy 80. Yeah, easy. That's if you being nice with the numbers. It's probably 80-20.
And all the schools?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if you think about where they're located, I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, even Vandy being in Nashville, which is probably our most diverse. Baton Rouge is probably the most diverse city, but with LSU, but Nashville's fairly diverse too. I mean, and they've got. I would think LSU would probably have the most African American students if we were to probably break it down. Ole Miss probably not as many, even though they're close to Memphis. But most of the students that go there are from like Eastern Arkansas, other parts of Mississippi, and then Tennessee versus like Arkansas, because they do out-of-state tuition right now. You touching Missouri, you touching Oklahoma, you touching Kansas, you touching Louisiana. So they're kind of plucking those Texas students who don't want to go pay the Texas tuition. They're coming to Arkansas.
This is a little joke I be telling everybody who went to bigger schools than mid-majors. I say, man, let me tell you something. I was so one of the dudes all about how you looked at it in practice. Like, I needed the practice gear with my number on it. Just don't give me no shit that say Arkansas State, man, and just a flip over red and black. You and Will went to schools where y'all number was on y'all damn practice uniforms. And y'all had the baggy shit. Everything looked nice. Our shit just had black shorts, Arkansas State on that motherfucker, and a flip over. Like, that was it.
Hey, but Agee, there's a caveat to that. There's a reason why our stuff had our number and our names on it, because your teammates would steal your gear. So they got to put your name and them on it. You look out, stuff can't be out there in your stuff because your stuff clean, and theirs wasn't, man.
Exactly.
So that's how that was. I want to ask you this, Scotty, before we jump into that amazing NCAA run.
Yes.
Did y'all play Arkansas State?
What?
No, we didn't. We didn't. Back then, there was some type of agreement where the athletic director didn't allow the coaches to schedule games with in-state schools. Yeah. Now they don't play each other, but Arkansas last year played Little Rock, what used to be University of Arkansas Little Rock. And our Arkansas girls played UAPB, University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. So they're trying to do a little bit better job. Instead of giving the money to out-of-state schools, try to keep some of the money in-state to help some of those schools, which I think would have probably been a great idea back then. But, you know, our OAD just was not allowed that.
Because, you know, I was looking for the box scores, man. I was trying to find it. I said, maybe it just ain't up.
Hey, Will, if they did, they would have blew us the hell out. I would have fouled out. You know what I'm saying? I would have fouled out. I mean, even if it was a home or away, Will, they was blowing us out. It's just they you know, when you got Doman pitchings against Poodles, that's what that would have been like. We had Poodles. They got Doman pitchings at every position, Will. So it would have been a blowout. I would have fouled out, and your boys Clint McDaniel number would have just, you know how they rock. 40 minutes of hell you.
I'm the gold of my era. I've been a trending topic, I'm as fly as a feather. My pocket's macroscopic, see with time I get better. I'm always in the action, kid. Know I got it locked from Chicago where the toughest live. Concrete jungle, earn my stripes on the pavement there. You make it here, then you can make it anywhere. No comparison, your game is embarrassing. No one can touch me, I'm all for going there again. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Martha Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Martha Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me.
Hoop Dreams the podcast, an Unlearning Network production. Written and produced by Arthur Agee, Will Gates, Matt Hoffar, with audio engineering from Matt Savage. For more episodes, check us out at www.unlearningnetwork.com.
Gotta be a dog to survive in this cold weather. Ice in my veins, no need for a warm sweater. I'm coming for it all, best believe I won't let up, yeah. Hey, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Martha Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah, I think I'm ballin' like I'm Will Gates. I'm hoop dreaming, trying to fight against a sealed fate. More faith, think I'm ballin' like I'm Martha Agee. I'm box office and one day they gon' have to pay me. Yeah.